health for $125,000, and we're getting no return on mental health from them. There are local groups that I've talked to that are willing to come in and provide those services. I think we're going to need to take advantage of those. The Sheriff's Association has grants to get people in. Mental health is the big topic right now, so there are people trying to give away money to get that into the jails. And I'm going to talk to Rich Kelly down in Clinton County. I really like seeing his social media stuff and, you know, raising people up that have gone through his classes down there and making them feel like humans. They got their GED. Let's put them up on social media if they'll allow it, and show them the love that everybody can give them for wanting to better themselves, be it mental health, education, things like that.
I just have a question. As I sit here, we're talking about the small number of staff. We actually have more police officers in Carroll County than I think we've ever had. When we consider each school now has resource officers. So how do you guys communicate? What is your expectation as far as the sheriff communicating with these school resource officers? I mean, it seems to me when we're talking about the drug issues that that's something that probably starts long before we see them in the jail.
I think it's great if the schools have their own policing agencies now. That was a lot of burden, a lot of knowing that there's someone there that can respond immediately. That is great. The officers that do that are good. I just got an email today about THC vape cartridges that the kids are using in the schools, marijuana basically. They're on top of it. We communicate often, work together, help them with their cases. Does that answer your question?
Well, Toby and I have talked about this. It just seems to me, I mean, I've lived out here for 35 years, and years ago we didn't even have a county cop between midnight and 6 or something. We had to rely on the state police. So, you know, each of the small towns have their law enforcement. We have the county, and then each one of the schools have adopted their resource officers for their internal issues. It seems to me that it would make sense if there was some channel of communication within the law enforcement community. You know, none of the schools are that large that they would be sharing. You know, this has been an issue here, this has been an issue there, and I don't hear that from, I guess, either of you technically.
Yeah, that happens. There is communications that go both ways. If we're working a case outside the school, they're a great resource for us from within the school. If it's dealing with a kid or things like that, there's good communication between those agencies. As for the large number of officers in this county, Camden has a marshal, basically works Monday through Friday during the day. I know this summer Jill has kind of bounced it around so that she's actually working a little bit in the morning and then coming out some in the evening. Burlington, kind of the same thing. They have a multitude of part-time guys. They don't have 24-hour coverage. Delphi has 1 or 2 guys on at night. Flora just lost. They went down from 5 to 4 officers in Flora. So they stepped down their chief. They eliminated a position, and chief works a rotation and does his chief duties. But yeah, there are a lot of cops, but it should speak volumes that there's still not enough.
Yes, there is per capita probably more police than there ever has been here, I would guess. Well, I know, I don't have to guess. However, call volumes are up. as I can attest to that, even in Lafayette. And crimes have changed. You know, when I was a little kid, I could ride my bike all over Flora. I knew everybody there. Everybody knew me. That's not the case. So I'm certain that the officers in each of the jurisdictions are communicating well with each other. They have the same system, I believe, so they can all communicate. They're all on the same radio system. So that's a huge part. As far as education in the schools, outreach is important as well. So if we can outreach to those children in the school, humanize the badge so they're comfortable going to the school resource officer. And then, like Tony said, they are a huge resource for us as far as if you have a missing kid, get on Power School. We always have an SRO that can get on Power School if we don't have it ourselves and find their friends, find where they're at. So they are communicating.
I'd like to touch on transparency just a little bit. I guess, I think as most of us feel that there's, somewhat lack of transparency. And you don't really know what's going on in the community. I would ask Mark what you would bring from the Lafayette area to improve that. Tony, I'd ask you what you would change since you're in the middle of it now. So those would be the questions.
Transparency in which aspect?
Well, with the public, with the commissioners, with the council, in general, I mean, there's a lack of transparency. In my eyes, I don't see what's going on. So in turn, what is it?
So what I see from the Lafayette Police Department is we have PIO. So when there is a case that is ongoing, there's a PIO that is notifying the public where the situation is at and as much information as that can be shared. If it's a public safety issue, obviously it's shared at a much more deliberate time frame. If it's something that occurred and it's no longer a public threat, everyone is in the know. You have to do that so people don't worry and people don't get online and start looking for things that they don't know what they're looking for and cause panic. So what I see is people need to be aware of what the police are doing, especially this day and age. There shouldn't be any secrets unless it's case sensitive and or something that involves a child that we don't have to give names to. But for mostly the cases that I see, people need to be aware of what's going on. And what I bring to the table is I see that there is a public need and a public want to know what their police are doing. So it's an open book. Community engagements are important. Forums are important just like this so that people can get to know people. And the public trust is important. And the only way you get that is being transparent, completely transparent and accountable.
I don't know, I'm not sure examples of how we may or may not have been transparent.
Well, let's say drug problem. I don't know that you find people with needles in your arms, but I'm assuming you do from the way it sounds.
Sure, absolutely.
So, that's never communicated to me as a citizen of Carroll County. Crime, I don't hear about the crime rates, break-ins, those types of things. I'm assuming from what I'm hearing, those are on the increase.
One of the things
One
that,
other thing is communication with the board of our council, the commissioners, I guess. What can you do to improve that? And you're talking about making them aware to have more money. What will change?
Sure.
What is going to change to do that?
just to answer your last question, I'm a team builder. I like to think I can take a multitude of people and form a team, and everything we do is about teamwork, including with the commissioners and the council. And it's just an ongoing, frequent, it needs to be an ongoing, frequent communication and letting them know things coming down the pike. This is what we may need, this is what we're seeing. to get that money or get their support for some of the things we do. Just like when we needed to rent an investigation center, that was put on me to find a place, find out how much it's gonna cost, and they wanted to know every little step of it, and we got that done. It's all a communication, and even with the public. PIO is Public Information Officer, and right now at our Sheriff's Department, that is basically the sheriff. There are things, with Abby and Libby, people get very frustrated. We can't talk about it. We can't divulge information about an ongoing case. But there are things like code red that our dispatch puts out when there's an accident or a road closed. There are ways that you can get signed up to get some of those things. One of the things that we got this new records management system that we work off of. You don't see the police calls from us very much anymore. They've gone down because we're trying to get that online, so it'll help us do that. I say online, get that program in line to make that easier for us to get those to Debbie. And I'm very open about almost anything that I can be. There's no reason to hide anything.
Okay, we're gonna take 2 more questions. Okay, one more.
So the sheriff's department does more than just the crime itself. What other services would you make available to the public that currently we may do some now, but maybe improve on?
The hot button topic in Carroll County is animal control. I was told leading up to the primary how much I hated animals and things like that. 2 dogs and a cat. The way things are happening right now with our animal control, it is just not working. We don't have anywhere to take them. There has been talk, the commissioners have talked about building an animal shelter facility. If they do that, things will go much better with our animal control. That'll be a huge milestone for this county, and finding the right people to run it. Those will be big. Animal control is a pretty hot topic.
So yes, animal control is, as I know, as I live here in Florida, I don't know how many times we've replaced our outdoor furniture because of the cats. So yes, it is a hot topic, and I believe, again, education to the commissioners and to the council to get a shelter up and running would be key. Also, there are some things that currently I think can be improved upon as far as the clerk being available a little bit more in the sheriff's office as people take off. Can't seem to, this is before the handgun permit, but they can't get in to see someone to get their handgun permit or there. But there are other things that she can do, maybe expanded hours. One thing that I found was a little strange to me is there's no or limited transport officers. Is that correct?
We had one, and now we have none, and that's a staff.
Yeah, so that's a staffing issue. So that needs remedied, because taking road deputies off to transport prisoners is that's a public safety issue.
Got one more.
My question is you've talked a lot about training and hiring more staff. What is your plan, or do you have a plan on how you retain the staff that you have? You don't have any control over the commissioners and how much money they get paid, and maybe pay is not what they need. So what are you gonna do to keep the good guys that you have now, so they don't wanna leave and they don't wanna go anywhere else?
Very good question. Because as it turns out, to prepare for this, I've looked at the wages that these guys are making. That needs remedied immediately, and that's again, education. However, to retain staff, you've got to find people that want to do this job, and I think they are those people. But moreover, create a culture of excellence, so they're empowered by this training, and it doesn't have to cost money. The resources are out there and available by other agencies that want to help train and want to help our guys. And I say this, our guys, because I live in this community and they protect me just as well as they protect everyone else in here, and I thank them for that. Create a culture of excellence to where they want to do the job and they want to do it for their friends, neighbors, and their family. That's how you retain people.
As I said earlier, the people that work at the Carroll County Sheriff's Department, especially enforcement side of it, they're not here for the money. Would they like to see the money? Absolutely. But they're here because they love it here. Many of them, this is where they were born and raised. This is where they're raising their kids. So money is a big aspect. Money is a big recruiting aspect. Their department's throwing sign-on bonuses, $5,000, $10,000 if you come over here and work at the Howard County Sheriff's Department, and yet they're still here. That's a testament to the people that you have responding to your calls every day. They're pretty remarkable. A strong leader helps keep them here, giving them support staff that is good. It's a really high turnover in the jail, and a lot of that is money. People can go make what a deputy makes basically at Tippecanoe County Jail. Why work at Carroll County Sheriff's Office when you can drive 20 more minutes and make what a deputy makes roughly, and you can just do the same work, just to make more money at it. So it takes a strong leader, finding the people that want to be here, and if it's weeding out the people that don't want to be here, then so be it. But you have to love Carroll County to be here.
If you'll indulge me 1 minute. A key to our safety, yes, there's the police officers here, but I said it once before, you need to know your neighbors. We need a strong community. Do you know your neighbors? Do they know you? If my neighbors call in the middle of the night, we have one officer in Carroll County that's working tonight. Is that correct? Okay, so, that officer's gotta get there. Nothing scarier than seeing a 6'5" guy running at you in a pair of flip-flops and a robe. So, I'll be there for my neighbors, and I'm sure your neighbors get those strong community ties that we had once before. Get to know who's in your neighborhood. Okay, when you're watching them, you watch what they're doing.
John, this is a good night. We're full of staff, and we need two more.
Suits, fantastic. So, if everybody would stay seated for a moment, we're gonna let these two candidates go downstairs, get a few seconds to get some air, because they're both dressed well, and I'm sure sweating worse than they are. So, we'll give them a second, then we'll let everybody go downstairs and talk to them one-on-one if you have any questions, all right? Thank you, everybody.
If you would make sure the cats are heard.
They are.
No,